Thanks for letting me in, buddy. I appreciate it. All right. Okay. So the first thing I want to address with this silliness is what they think the Earth looks like. Obviously, they say flat, but like, what does that really mean? So, like, what they think, and I've got a picture on my phone. It's not going to be super easy to explain, but like, they think that there's like a tip on in the center. The center is the North Pole, and then the rest of the world is like sort of out and down around it and back up. It's sort of like there's like a little dip. It kind of looks like, if you've ever been to like a casino, it kind of looks like a roulette wheel. Honestly, with like the North Pole in the center, and then the South Pole, instead of being like a pole, it's like a circle around it, an ice wall, which is really silly. One of the other theories is that instead of like having a actual like sun, they think it's a spotlight type thing, and I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Like, what in nature has sort of a spotlight effect for light? I can't think of a single thing that does. Everything in nature has, if it produces light, it produces light in every direction, right? And in addition to that, they think the sun is like really close and really small. And they did that because there was an experiment that they did way back in the day. Like, I think it was a Greek guy. He measured, he took a stick in the sand and of the same size, and it did it in like one place and one, like, I don't know, a couple thousand miles north, and they stuck another sand, and like two people measured it like you would, and one person had theirs really. One person was immediately, like, had no shadow because it was during the solstice and the sun was directly over. And the other person, they measured it and there was a shadow, and they measured it and like, hold on, what's going on? Why is there a shadow here and not here? And so they took that and mathematically they calculated actually the circumference of the Earth based on that little pie slice. They said, if this is how much the shadow is on here compared to here, and this is the distance apart from it, we can mathematically calculate how like big the Earth is, and which is, sound math. And although they weren't perfectly accurate for the time, and the amount of, computing power they had, just their handwriting and their brains, they were fairly accurate. And so they already determined that it was round and circumferential, round and spherical at that point. Some flat earthers say, hey, that same exact thing could be done with a flat Earth. If the sun is just really low, the shadow would still be cast on one and then not over the other. It might have been believable back in the day because the sun was not perceivable except from our perspective. But now that we have explored space and we have several different perspectives and all that fun stuff, it's quite obvious that the sun is farther away. Another interesting thing, let's see here. Where was I? What Earth? Another interesting idea is like their idea with the flat Earth is the sun with the spotlight, whatever, we'll call it that, goes around in a circle on top of it. And it has to be a spotlight because if it's only from one direction, it has the spotlight around the circle of it. And we've already disproved the spotlight thing, but it does that, and it slightly moves closer to the center and farther away from the center, depending on, the seasons. But the problem with that is it doesn't really explain the seasons, because, one of the incredible things that happens, one of the incredible things that happen with our world is that during one season, the North Pole might have 6 months of daytime, and the South will have 6 months of nighttime. And so that's one of their things for the seasons. So obviously during the summer months for, say, the North Pole, that makes sense because the sun's always going to be close. It's always going to give them that light. But the summer for the South Pole, it doesn't make sense because it still has to move in a circle, and the South Pole has the same phenomenon where it's 6 months of light and 6 months of dark. And it's always going to have a regular day cycle, no matter what happens on that circular, on that flat idea. Their logic there is non-existent, is what that is. Because they can't explain both phenomena with the same thing. Just scroll down here real quick. So I've already explained the ice wall. They expect Antarctica is not a continent, but a wall around the outside. Oh, let's talk about gravity. That's a wild thing. There's a couple crazy ideas for gravity here. And you know there's a problem with the conspiracy theory when no one can agree on the conspiracy. So there are several ideas as far as gravity. So let me accept this real quick, pick this up, and we'll get on the idea of gravity. Oh, it's right there. Nice. So the idea of gravity. So with a flat Earth, they don't believe gravity exists in the sense that we do. Like, you know, how there's a mathematical equation for the mass of one thing and the mass of the other, and the distance between the two. You can calculate the exact gravity between them. And so they do acknowledge that the effect of gravity is 9.8 meters per second, but their explanation of it is kind of weird, you know? The first thing they think, there's several theories, like I said before. The first theory was there is no actual gravity. There's no such thing as gravity. It's just us on a plane, and we're accelerating upwards that we're accelerating at a specific rate, which is 9.8 meters per second squared. Now, the problem with that is that it's acceleration. It's not constant velocity. Acceleration is the change of velocity over time. So for the for the acceleration to be constant, the velocity has to be constantly accelerating. And this is one of the thoughts I had while I was at the gym when I heard that song saying stuff. I'm like, I wonder how long would it take for us to go to the speed of light if we constantly accelerated at 9.8 meters per second. So I Googled an answer. For us to get to the speed of light, which you can Google it, I can't, I'm driving, it would take between 11 and 12 months. So basically a single year, we would be going faster than the speed of light. Before any of us, I would say Earthlings, us humans ever set foot on the Earth, we were already passing the speed of light. Now, the funny thing about that is when we start getting to the speed of light, things start getting weird. Our vision of like celestial bodies becomes skewed and different. And this is a good question for Kyle Hill, which he does a lot of cool science theories and goes into like the actual physics and the mathematics behind it. Is I wonder what our perspective actually would be at that point. Would we be able to see, you know, the stars? Would they be moving more than they have? How would be able to see really anything? Because going faster than the speed of light, would light ever reach our eyes? One of the other ideas they had is we have a flat Earth, and then there's a sort of a dome, and the dome, that whole thing is moving, which is again kind of silly, because they would be saying we are spherical in nature, except flat on the bottom is spherical on the top, which is kind of like sci-fi. Like you would see that on like, oh, we're living on Mars, so we have this little dome thing on there. And that's obviously there's nothing in nature that exists in that, because anything large enough, anything large enough, like, you know, another planet or a moon, doesn't exist in a planar idea, because the actual gravity, because we know how gravity actually works, will actually start to collapse it into a more spherical shape. And you can actually see that in nature, like something that doesn't have the structure of a solid, like a rock or anything like that, will actually become like a droplet. Oh, another thing, I think gravity is a fallacy. It's just our way of measuring the differences between density and buoyancy, which is, again, hilarious. Like this is high school, or no, this is middle school stuff. We already know that if we drop two things of different density, they land at the ground at the same exact time. Let's say we had a sphere or any shape. We had a box that was I don't know, 100 pounds. And we had another box that was the same exact size that was 1,000 pounds. And we dropped it from, I don't know, 1,000 feet up at the same exact time. And they both hit the ground at the same exact time. So with the density being different, one like magnitude of 10 difference, their rate of falling would be the same. So their idea of density and buoyancy being the reason why we're moving and creating gravity is already a fallacy. Let's see here. What else did they have for gravity? I don't think they had anything else for gravity. I think those were the few things they had for that. One of the other things they think is that NASA and all the other world space organizations are all conspiring against us. They're big globes conspiring against us to try to give us the idea of spherical Earth. But, you know, that's an easy logic puzzle to disprove. If you have a bunch of people and they all have to keep a secret, and you ask all of them the secret, one of them's going to bust it, you know? People like to share secrets. That's how they get power. They're like, I know the secret, but it doesn't give them power unless they tell you what it is. So they'll spill the beans if you ask the right person the right way. And the idea of having like every big organization in the world all conspiring to keep a single secret. Come on. We can't, there's no single country that can keep all their own secrets. How can a whole world with differing opinions and views keep the same secret? That's absolutely bonkers. There's just no way it can happen. They do believe that, you know, in the same vein of it, they believe that all the outer space images from outer space have been doctored so that, you know, it looks spherical. But then, you know, if it goes in the same vein. If everyone's on the same page, which they're not, it would be possible, but to fake everything. But there's no group that can keep that agrees to them to all doctor the image. This is the same way. Let me see if I can scroll with my other hand. Now, this is the thing I don't really understand because there's too many data points. It says some flight paths don't make sense because it would be made more sense on a flat model than a you know, the real model of Earth. And I just don't know enough about it. You know, I don't. I don't know, because there's literally thousands or tens of thousands of flights per day, and I just don't have the correlation or the data or the knowledge to prove all, to like give you all that, because, you know, we do have the Coriolis effect where the Earth is moving faster than us. So if we have like a weird pattern, it's very possible we're accounting for that. They also don't believe the Coriolis effect exists when it's very provable, even on small scale. It's like, you know, you're on a little merry-go-round, you throw a ball straight out, the ball looks like it's curving to the left, even though it's going straight, because you, the moving person, is viewing something that is not changing. So you're seeing it curve left, but it's going straight, and you're turning. And that's just the dumbed down version of the Coriolis effect. It affects a lot of things on Earth, like the weather, the oceans, waves. Snipers have to deal with it. Like, their bullet travel is so far that they have to account for the movement of the Earth. It actually affects it. And I think the longest confirmed kill is like what, 2 miles, something like that, something really small. I mean, it doesn't really seem small, but like, in the idea with how big the Earth is, 2 miles is pretty small. They believe that the sun and moon move in a circular motion above the planet. How come Earth is the only one that does that and all the other planets don't do that? That's absolutely bonkers. In addition to that, Uh, how can we eclipse the moon if both the sun and the moon are on the same side of us? It can't happen, you know? There would have to be something else to do it, which is another one of their beliefs. It's like, oh, there's unknown celestial bodies. Ooh. And, yeah, no, we can see out there with all the other stars and all the amount of light that the sun that does not shine in just one direction bounces off of, and we can actually see and pay attention to and measure. I swear to Bob, these guys are really hurting like the scientific community, even the regular community. They claim that the lack of a visual curvature of the Earth is, you know, proof that it's flat. But, you know, you can actually visually see the curvature of the Earth, not so much in this direction, but in depth. Because if you watch like a boat go out to sea, you'll watch the bottom disappear before the top because it's literally sinking into the horizon. Like it's going like with the curvature of the Earth, that part's disappearing. So it should be quite obvious on that point. Like literally anyone can see it. You can go to a port and you can watch boats disappear and see that, you know, you can see the top still even when the 2/3 of the boat is gone from the bottom. And it's not because it's sinking. The idea that 100% of boats sink is insane, right? Because you can look at any boat, and all the boats will do this as long as it gets far enough away. No outer space. They reject the idea of outer space altogether. Hold on. No, this is why you don't text and drive, because it's hard to like see and read at the same time. Asserting that what is perceived as space is simply a dome above the Earth with fixed things, which makes no sense because as you move on the Earth, you can see different stars and different other craps, all sorts of things. In addition to that, even if you stay in the same spot, everything moves, especially over time. Like you'll actually see like, hey, and one day here, you can see these stars in this formation, and like a month later, hey, everything shifted. Oop. That wouldn't happen if it was a that wouldn't happen if it was just a dome over us. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers that we're basically living in a snow globe. Like, that's like some Men in Black 1 BS. Like, we're living in a marble that the aliens are just playing marbles with. Oh, that's just crazy. Oh. All right. Next thing is the idea that bodies of water always find a level surface, and this is inconsistent with the curvature of a spherical Earth, which is absolutely bonkers. They don't find level surfaces. Wherever they are, they actually... Oh, that's the wrong button. Wherever they are, they'll, you know, they look kind of level, but if you look at a smaller one where it's easier to see the change, you can actually find like where the water is dipped because of the way that it, you know, gravity pulls it more in the center and less on the sides. And there, that's called, what is that called? A meniscus? A meniscus? Is that what it is? No. Is that right? And that's actually how you measure the true level of really any fluid, not just water, is where the meniscus is. I mean, I have a feeling I'm saying that word wrong, but I'm sure y'all will roast me over the coals for that one. Oh, that's a 30-mile-an-hour turn, and the train is here. Okay. Don't try to beat trains. Trains will win every single time. Just be patient. Let it pass. One of the cool things about trains, though, is you can kind of tell how long they are. If they're moving really quick, it means they've got less weight to pull, and they're less worried about, like, tipping over. So it's going to be done pretty quick. If it's a really slow train, either there's trouble farther up the track, or it's a really long train. You can kind of expect to sit for a little longer. Just a cute little tidbit of information there. Also, those things. I know I'm tired. Those things that go down, the things that tell you that the train's there and they don't cross. Those are far sturdier than expected. Look up videos of people crashing into those, and you're in for a laugh. Those guys are hilarious. They're like, oh, I'm gonna go through, and then end up with a totaled vehicle. Even if you do get through, it's possible that you'll end up stalling on the track and get absolutely demolished by the train itself. So, don't be dumb, is all I've got to say on that. All right. Here, no gravity, but density and buoyancy. I've already touched that. Sun size and distance. I already touched that. Flight altitude, space travel. Guys, we didn't visit space yet. Guys, come on, hear me out here. That's absolutely insane. We literally had like airplanes, just regular old airplanes, barely inside our own atmosphere. And these guys, and oh man, I think it was the Concorde that was flying really, really high, because in order to reach Mach 5 and sustain it with efficiently, that's where that had to be. But no, we've had like regular old commercial things that people have been on for years. Concorde no longer exists because they had other issues from the times. We've already been in near space with regular people, regular stinking people. The idea that rockets and, you know, the International Space Station doesn't exist. That's insane. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. You can't be serious here. Where would the money have gone if we didn't actually go into space and, like, you know, do stuff up there? What's GPS powered by? Definitely not from satellites that are in space. All right. What was I doing? Flight altitudes. Oh, yeah. Flight altitudes and space. So, one of the things they say is that flight altitudes don't do anything if you're higher up, which is absolutely fallacy. We know that the higher up you are, the less dense the air is, and that's part of the reason that planes travel so high, so that they don't have to worry about the cost of fuel they need to use to deal with the density of air at lower levels. Now, there are pluses and minuses. At lower levels, you do get more lift, and it's easier to, be stable. But, being higher up, you get an efficiency boost, because you don't have as much stuff stopping you. Selective acceptance of science. If they're selective acceptance of science and the religious interpretations and personal observations, there's an issue with an idea if you're not willing to put your faith in data-driven ideas. So these are things that we've measured, we've seen, we've experimented with. We've done several different models that have evolved over time because, we're like, oh, new information. It's no longer like this. It's been tweaked into this. Or, hey, we're not the center of this solar system. We're just part of it because, the center of the solar system is a very egocentrical thing that we want, but is not necessarily true. All right. And that's pretty much everything I have on the stupidity of flat Earth ideology and the disbelief in science. Aside from the idea that hey, that's my turn signal. If a collective group of conspiracists can't believe in the same conspiracy after how long have humans been along for the ride and discovering our world and our universe that we live in? Has it been millennia? Has it been more than a few thousand years? It's only recorded for a few thousand years, so we'll just call it a few thousand years. And they don't believe in the science of it, which is unemotional, cold, calculating discovery of the place we live in and the universe. And they can't even agree on their own. Oh, it's like the earth is flat because this, and it's flat because of this, and these are the things, and they argue amongst themselves after all this time, and they don't have any definite proof. And they all look at individual issues and say, hey, this is our answer to this issue. But their answer to another issue counteracts the answer to the first issue. So the answers actually, they're not consistent. They can't keep the straight line of thought on that. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know.